When Ethan Carter stood outside the elementary school holding his 6-year-old daughter's tiny pink backpack, he could feel the stares before he even looked up. The mothers whispered to one another. A few fathers glanced at him with quiet curiosity. To them, he was the young man whose wife had disappeared years ago, leaving him to raise little Lily alone. Rumors spread faster than truth. She'd probably left because he couldn't provide. I heard he was a terrible husband. No woman would walk away from a happy family. Ethan had stopped trying to explain long ago. The truth was far more painful. 3 years earlier, his wife, Claire, had died after a sudden illness that doctors failed to diagnose in time. Ethan had watched the strongest person he had ever known slowly fade away while he promised her that Lily would never grow up without love. He intended to keep that promise, no matter how difficult life became. Every morning began before sunrise. He prepared breakfast, packed Lily's lunch, braided her hair after watching countless online tutorials, cleaned their tiny apartment, and then rushed to his construction job. His hands were covered with cuts and bruises. His back ached every night. But whenever Lily smiled, every sacrifice became worthwhile. "Daddy," she asked one evening while drawing with crayons, "do other kids have superheroes?" "They do. Who's mine?" Ethan smiled. "I hope it's me." She hugged him tightly. "It is." Those 3 words gave him enough strength to face another exhausting day. Money became tighter each month. The construction company reduced workers' hours after several projects were cancelled. Ethan searched for evening jobs. He delivered groceries. He washed cars. He repaired broken fences. Sometimes he slept only 4 hours before starting again. Still, bills kept piling up. One rainy afternoon, Ethan noticed an elderly woman struggling to carry several heavy grocery bags across a flooded parking lot. Most people walked past. Some looked. None stopped. He checked his watch. If he helped her, he would arrive late for work. Being late meant losing part of his paycheck. He hesitated for only a second. Then he ran toward her. "Ma'am, let me help." The woman smiled warmly. "You'll be late." "That's okay." Together they carried every bag into her small house. She thanked him repeatedly and offered money. He politely refused. "Keep it," Ethan said. "You might need it more than I do." She looked at him carefully. "You have kind eyes." He laughed. "My daughter says they're tired eyes." The old woman chuckled. Kind people often look tired. Ethan left without asking her name. He never expected to see her again. Days later, Lily came home unusually quiet. "What happened?" Ethan asked gently. She stared at the floor. Some kids laughed. "Why?" "They said my daddy wears old clothes because we're poor." Ethan's heart broke. He knelt beside her. "Lily, are we poor?" He thought carefully before answering. "We don't have everything we want." She nodded. "But we have something many rich people never find." "What?" "Someone who loves us more than anything." Lily smiled through her tears. "That's true." That night, after she fell asleep, Ethan quietly cried in the kitchen where she couldn't hear him. He didn't cry because they lacked money. He cried because his little girl had learned what cruelty felt like. The following Saturday, Ethan volunteered at the neighborhood food bank. Several people questioned why someone struggling financially would spend time helping others. His answer never changed. Someone always has less than you. As volunteers sorted donations, Ethan noticed a young boy staring hungrily at the snack table. Without thinking, Ethan handed him the sandwich he had packed for himself. The boy devoured it within minutes. "You haven't eaten today, have you?" Ethan asked. The child shook his head. "My mom lost her job." Ethan smiled gently. "Then today, you and your mom take my food box." "But what about you?" "We'll manage." The volunteer coordinator watched everything silently. That evening Ethan returned home carrying almost nothing. Lily opened the refrigerator. "Daddy, it's okay. We only have eggs." He grinned. "Good. Why? I make the world's greatest scrambled eggs." She laughed. "No, you don't." "I absolutely do. You burn them every time." He placed a hand over his heart dramatically. "My own daughter has betrayed me." Soon the apartment filled with laughter instead of sadness. The meal was simple. The love around the table was enormous. Before bed, Lily hugged him again. "When I grow up, yes, I want to be kind like you." Those words meant more than any promotion or paycheck ever could. Outside, rain began falling against the windows. Across town, the elderly woman Ethan had helped days earlier sat in a beautiful office, staring at a photograph taken by a security camera in her grocery store parking lot. She looked at the young father carrying her bags without expecting anything in return. Then she picked up her phone. "Find this man," she said quietly. "I think I've just met someone the world forgot to reward." The search didn't take long. Within 3 days, the elderly woman's assistant returned with a simple folder. "His name is Ethan Carter," he said. 34 years old. Construction worker. Widower. Raising his 6-year-old daughter alone. The woman slowly closed the file. "So I was right. You know him. I know kindness when I see it." Her name was Margaret Lawson, founder of one of the country's largest construction companies. Years earlier, she had stepped away from the spotlight after her husband's death, choosing a quieter life while secretly funding charities across the city. Yet no amount of money had impressed her as much as one exhausted father who had given away the little he had. "I want to meet him," she said. A week later, Ethan received an unexpected phone call inviting him to an interview. Confused, he borrowed a clean shirt from a neighbor and arrived at Lawson Construction's headquarters. The enormous glass building made him feel completely out of place. The receptionist smiled warmly. "Mr. Carter, Ms. Lawson is expecting you." When Ethan entered the office, he froze. It was the same elderly woman from the grocery store. "You," he whispered. Margaret smiled. "I was wondering when you'd recognize me. You own this company." "I do." Ethan looked embarrassed. "I'm sorry. I don't understand why I'm here. You helped me when nobody else would." "It wasn't a big deal." "It was to me." She leaned forward. "My assistant also told me about the food bank." Ethan's face turned red. "You looked into my life. I wanted to know what kind of man gives away his own lunch while struggling to feed himself." Silence filled the room. Finally, Margaret asked one question. "If I offered you a management trainee position, would you accept?" Ethan blinked. "I've never managed anyone. I can teach skills," she replied. "Character can't be taught." The new job changed everything. For the first time in years, Ethan earned enough to pay every bill on time. He no longer had to work 3 different jobs. Every evening, he picked Lily up from school himself. They ate dinner together. They walked in the park. They read bedtime stories without Ethan falling asleep halfway through from exhaustion. One evening Lily smiled. "Daddy." "Yes. You laugh more now." He realized she was right. "I guess I do. I like your laugh." "So do I." Months passed. Ethan worked harder than ever, determined to prove Margaret had made the right decision. He arrived early. He stayed late. He treated every employee with respect, from executives to janitors. People naturally trusted him. Whenever a worker faced family problems, Ethan quietly arranged schedules so they could spend time with their loved ones. "Family first," he always said. His kindness slowly transformed the company's culture. Margaret watched proudly. "I hired a manager," she told her board. "What I got was a leader." One afternoon, Lily's school announced its annual Family Day. Parents and children would share stories about the people they admired most. Many students talked about athletes, actors, scientists, and famous entrepreneurs. When Lily walked onto the stage carrying a small photograph, the room became quiet. "This is my hero," she began. "My daddy." Some children smiled. Others remembered making fun of Ethan months earlier. "My daddy isn't famous," Lily continued. "He doesn't have superpowers." She paused. "But he helps people even when he's tired. He gives food away when he's hungry. He smiles even when he's sad. When I have nightmares, he stays awake all night so I can sleep." I think that's what heroes do. Parents throughout the audience wiped away tears. Even the principal struggled to speak after the applause finally ended. A local newspaper reporter happened to attend the event because her niece studied at the school. The next morning, the headline spread across social media. "Little girl calls her single dad the greatest hero alive." The article told Ethan's story. His years of sacrifice. His kindness. His quiet generosity. Within days, millions of people had shared it. Letters arrived from strangers thanking him for reminding them that goodness still existed. One envelope contained $20 with a handwritten note. "I can't give much, but your story inspired me to help someone today." Another came from a little boy. "My dad left us. I wish he were like you. Thank you for showing me there are still good fathers in the world." Ethan cried as he folded the letter carefully and placed it in a drawer beside Claire's wedding ring. That evening, he visited Claire's grave with Lily. Fresh flowers rested beneath the headstone. "I got promoted again," Ethan said softly. Lily knelt beside the grave. "Mommy, Daddy is doing really well." She smiled toward the sky. "And he still burns scrambled eggs." Ethan laughed through tears. "I do not." "You do." The peaceful silence that followed somehow felt like Claire was laughing with them. Years later, Ethan became Chief Operations Officer of Lawson Construction. Margaret officially retired and handed him leadership of the company she had spent decades building. During the ceremony, reporters asked why she trusted him with such responsibility. Her answer became famous. "I never chose him because he was the smartest man in the room. I chose him because when nobody was watching, he chose kindness over convenience." Companies can survive without genius. They cannot survive without integrity. The audience stood and applauded. That night, Ethan and Lily returned to the small apartment building where they had once struggled. A new family had just moved in. A tired single father stood outside carrying groceries while trying to comfort his crying son. Without hesitation, Ethan walked over. "Need a hand?" The father smiled with relief. "I'd really appreciate it." Together they carried the bags upstairs. When the grateful father reached for his wallet, Ethan gently stopped him. "No, I've learned something important. Kindness always comes back." As Ethan and Lily walked away hand in hand, the city lights sparkled around them. Years earlier, people had judged a man wearing worn-out clothes and carrying a little girl's backpack. They saw poverty. They saw exhaustion. They saw failure. What they failed to see was a father whose love was richer than money, whose heart was stronger than hardship, and whose quiet acts of compassion would change countless lives. Because in the end, the greatest inheritance a parent can leave a child is not wealth, fame, or success. It is the courage to choose kindness, even on the hardest days. And that was the legacy Ethan Carter left behind.